सुन रहे देखें सलाम नमस्ते कैलगरी ऑन रेडियो सुरसंगम 94.7 FM विद मी एंड सलमा जी। आप हमें फेसबुक पर भी देख सकते हैं, यू जस्ट हैव टू गो ऑन फेसबुक और आपको सर्च करना पड़ेगा रेडियो, आप जो है रेडियो सुरसंगम, एंड देन यू कैन वॉच अस लाइव राइट नाउ राइट हियर। जी सलमा जी कैसे हैं आप?
जी सबसे पहले थैंक यू जलाल। हमारे सब सुनने वालों और देखने वालों को सलाम, नमस्ते, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, याली मदद एंड अ वेरी गुड इवनिंग। वेरी गुड बट वेरी विंडी इवनिंग हियर इन कैलगरी। तो उम्मीद है कि आप लोगों का हफ्ता बहुत अच्छा गुजरा होगा। मौसम भी अब अच्छा होने लगा है, हमारा भी हफ्ता अच्छा गुजरा, लेकिन ये और भी ज्यादा अच्छा है इसलिए कि रमजान मुबारक शुरू हो गया है। आप सब लोगों को जो मुसलमान हैं इस दुनिया में और वो जो रोजा रख रहे हैं उन सब लोगों को बहुत बहुत रमजान की मुबारक हो। अल्लाह ताला ये रमजान का महीना सबके लिए बहुत सारी दीनी और दुनियावी बरक़ात लेकर आए और पुरसुकून जो हमें चाहिए कि माहौल हो इस शहर में, घरों में, दुनिया में, वो होना चाहिए। हम उसके लिए दुआ करते हैं और सबका बहुत अच्छा महीना गुजरे और खूब बाबरकत वाला और बहुत अच्छा गुजरे सबके लिए। तो जी बिल्कुल, ये महीना ऐसा होता है कि दिल करता है कि बस इंसान अपने अल्लाह ताला से खूब सारी बातें करे, खूब सारी दुआएं मांगे और उन्हीं के ख्यालों में रहें। बस ये इतना अच्छा महीना है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल यार। और हम जैसे बात कर रहे थे कि अभी हमारे साथ जो है मिस्टर हैंक फोर्डहम है लाइन पे राइट नाउ, और ही इज साइबर सिक्योरिटी researcher, and this is the second time on the show. Hello, Hank. How are you?
Hey, man. Hey,
Hi, Hank.
Thanks for having me on the show, Jalal.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Very well, very well. We were hoping to see you in the studio, but unfortunately you could not make it. But still, you are there.
Yeah, I'm
and
hoping to come out next time.
Yeah. Hopefully next time. Yeah.
And first of all, happy birthday, Hank.
Yeah, I just found out.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday. Many happy returns of the day. Maybe that's why you're celebrating today. You know, you couldn't make it.
Thank
So
you
Hank,
so
you
much.
know,
I appreciate that.
so Hank, since like I think when we had you last time, that was our first time, and of course we learned so much about the hacking. Now I think especially last 2 year pandemics, I think it's grown, isn't it?
Oh man, it's always growing and at such an alarming pace, and especially recently in the last 3 years.
Wow.
Especially with developing a career in cybersecurity, I've seen just the rapid growth of not only the malicious side of it, but also the ethical side of it, and the different ways that different countries are preparing to deal with cyber threats. And not only that, but we've seen a little bit of a sample of how during a wartime scenario, how a country is going to employ cyber threats.
That's right. So what do you think it's going to lead to, the way that this cyber thing is getting more and more? So what do you think about it?
I always tell people that my biggest piece of advice to put you at an advantage, whether you be, private, a personal user, or a full-fledged company, is to awareness and to be to be open to training and running or participating in phishing exercises, or just even something as simple as enabling two-factor authentication. As much of a pain in the butt as it might be, it's something that we find all too necessary, especially now.
Yeah, that's so true.
So of course before pandemic, especially we used to get a phone calls, or it was a WhatsApp messages, or it was on a social media. Please, click on this link and you won, won this, you won this. And I think especially last 2 years, now it's even more now, and you're getting everything is kind of double, triple now. So how can we control these things?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because it has started to kind of develop into a much more complex scenario where, and I'm sure some users are even familiar with this story, where you get a message on Facebook or something, and they're telling you like, oh, have you heard of the new government grant or this new money grant or something?
Right.
And they're trying to offer you money. Or even the most recent one that I've seen is a random message you get, and it says, you'll never guess who died. And then it sends you a malicious link. And it's interesting because these campaigns are going from someone just simply sending you a link and seeing if you'll click to actually running like what we call a pretexting campaign. So they'll do a little bit of research about you, or they'll try and target like an older demographic or a younger demographic on Facebook or different social medias. And then they'll run their campaign that way. So, they'll even, this is kind of an old one, but it's really prevalent right now, where they'll kind of call an older demographic, and, they'll say, oh, your niece or your nephew, your grandson, your granddaughter is in jail, and you have to pay a certain amount of money to get them out. And so it's interesting, and I think, again, another thing that I tell people to really put themselves at an advantage with these things is to develop an open line of communication. And while we train that to companies, and it's amazing how effective that is in a company environment, it's also important to realize that having an open line of communication in your family will put you at a huge advantage. And
True.
What I mean by that open line of communication is just pick someone in your family that, voluntary, they have to volunteer.
That's right.
And have them as your trusted contact. So if you get a weird link, or you get a weird phone call, or some urgent or odd request that's trying to hoodwink you into doing something, then you can contact your trusted contact and have them help you with following through with this. And if it's legitimate, then, they can help you do that. Or if it's illegitimate, then they'll have an easier time spotting that than you might just on your own.
Wow. So, how does that happen, that, you get a phone call from a really close contact of yours, and that person is trying to call you and make you go to their house while leaving their own, that person leaves the house and goes. So how do they do that? Like, how do they find out this is the close contact of certain person? Like, this happened to my friend recently.
So that falls alongside the pretexting campaigns as well, where they'll kind of like, they will really do their research on targets, and, they'll figure out their family, their job, and whatever else. But that kind of goes well into the point that, it's important to, be careful when you're sharing, like, be mindful of what you're sharing. A good example of this that I always use in when I'm giving advice is, like, I see people a lot of the time they'll take a photo out front of their house, and in the background of that photo you can see the house number, and so inadvertently they've just posted on social media their home address, and there's a plethora or plenty of examples of this, like posting different personally identifiable information. And that's why I just tell people, like, the easiest way to remember it is just share with care. So be careful what you're sharing.
Yeah, right. So right.
So, if I remember, I think, you shared one of the websites where you can see, like, how many hackings are going on at the kind of in real time. Is that right? What was that, Hank?
So first off, the way that they, like, what they're doing when they fake those phone numbers, I forgot to answer that, is they're getting, like you said, where they'll find out, a family member or whatever, and they'll get their phone number and make that call to you as that family member's phone number. And it's a service called Voice over IP. It's actually used legitimately, but cyber criminals can abuse that service to do what we call spoofing a phone number.
Spoofing, okay.
The website that I was talking about was there's a couple that I really like. So there's 𝗃𝗶𝘀𝗀's cyber threat map, and it shows you like it's pretty much like the globe, a 3D globe, but for hacking, and it shows all the live attacks.
Oh.
But another really good one is Checkpoint's threat map, and you can find these just by Googling them. You can actually just Google, cyber security threat map or hacking threat map, and it'll show you a live view of all the hacking and all the cyber threats that are happening right now. And, of course, we tend to see hot spots when there's certain political events or certain global situations happening. And, of course, right now, one being the Ukraine-Russia situation.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. There is, like hacking happening there. And, in the war, this is not a good thing, but it is happening, and I don't know where it is going to lead to. So, yeah.
It's interesting to see the good, the bad, and the truly ugly, because, I'm seeing even on Twitter the president of Ukraine making a call and basically recruiting just anyone that wants to join online. And they actually had, I think it was a little over 250,000 people join a Telegram chat just to help with random cyber attacks online. So it's hard to say where that's going to go, and in particular with the cyber side of things. But it'll be interesting to see how that's dealt with after this is all over. Dealt with, by that I mean the cyber side, like how do they treat a foreign national or someone from North America joining a cyber army in a different country? We have rules and regulations around foreign fighters joining a military, but we don't really have the rules and regulations yet for foreign cyber operators.
Right.
So, Hank, like the one you just gave the website address, like cyber threat map. So I'm just looking at it right now, and I see more of that text coming to U.S., like from Philippines, Egypt, India, Portugal, Netherlands. But, most of them are coming to U.S. Of course, there are some going back there as well. But, I think the North America is always kind of the hot, isn't it?
I'm happy you said that, because it is. And when you look at services like Amazon or DigitalOcean, they offer the ability to rent a server from their infrastructure. So, you can go online, and for as cheap as $15 a month, you can rent a piece of Amazon's cloud infrastructure, a piece of their servers. And you can use that for almost anything. In fact, I would almost say that, 80% of malicious cyber campaigns are hosted through Amazon.
Oh my God!
Oh. Wow. As it is so popular, but still, everybody knows that it is a real good target to have.
And that's why we end up seeing so much traffic in the U.S. is because it, even if I'm in Russia and I'm hacking someone in, Sweden, the traffic is going to appear as if it was from the U.S. to Sweden, because I'm renting a server that's on American soil.
Okay. So, speaking of Russia, so what happened since the war started? I believe there are more attacks coming from Russia, isn't it?
I've been trying my best to map the cyber side of things, and it's just been hard to keep up with, again, with things constantly rapidly developing. But, we've seen everything from kind of immature little prank kind of hacks where they made it look like Putin's yacht was on an island. All the way to very complex campaigns where sections of Anonymous have actually attacked satellite infrastructure and military and government infrastructure in Russia. And of course, we've seen return, we've seen, I guess so to say, return fire from Russia, and just in the form of random little attacks. And I don't think they're going to be very vocal about that either at the moment, because one, they can't, and two, they probably don't want to be too vocal about attacking Western digital infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right.
So so like especially like Canada is very kind of vocal in this war right now, because because we hear every day in the news we are doing this. So do you think let's say the war is over in next week or month or whatever, but hopefully in a week. So do you think we're gonna have more kind of attack from Russia, especially Canada?
I couldn't tell. That's one thing I thought about, is it's going to be interesting to see how that's dealt with after. I couldn't answer because I'm not too sure, but my thought on the cyber side of things, again in kind of the digital space, I think that there will be some, if not retaliation with cyber threats, I think that there's going to be a lot of exclusion in certain ways from things. And I think that we're probably going to see a lot more ransomware activity. And one thing that I know North America, or, the Western, the West has kind of been looking for a long time, is repercussions or accountability for these cyber threats, or the cyber criminals that actually live in Russia and that are carrying out these ransomware campaigns. And I don't think that that's going to happen now, or if it does, it's going to be a very difficult and thorough process.
Yeah. So what do you think, what are the most you see in Canada, the cyber attacks are happening, like the most popular ones?
Oh, definitely phishing. And that's why I always tell people, back to that trusted contact thing, if you can try and filter the links that you do have an interest in clicking on through your trusted contact.
Right.
Or just avoid clicking links in general, unless you can, really implicitly trust that link and verify that the source from the link is legitimate. I think the biggest attack we're seeing is phishing attacks, and that's even the biggest way that ransomware is being served. So it kind of complements ransomware, so to say, because you get a phishing link, or you get a phishing email and it has an attachment, and next thing you know, you've got ransomware. So definitely phishing
is the most.
Yeah. So, of course, now we have smartphones and we have so many apps on our phone, it's including WhatsApp and, Telegram. Are they safe to download? I know, all of us, we have, all of them have the WhatsApp and everything. Are they safe?
I think that when you're picking an app, especially with social media platforms, and, we've seen examples of how shady it can get with Mark Zuckerberg, but I think it's important to do your own research on these applications. And I hate to say that, but, I think of TikTok, for example, where it's Chinese owned, and then I think of that face swapping app that was actually Russian owned, and they were collecting the photos of not only kids, but anyone that used the app. And they were training AI for facial recognition. So it's there's certain privacy concerns, and as much as we hate to read the terms of service, and we never really will, I think that kind of presses the importance in doing your own research. And that's not it's not hard. It's as easy as going on Google and saying what country was WhatsApp made in, and you can very quickly determine if that feels like something safe to use for you. And there's antiviruses that were made in Russia that that cyber threat map, the Kaspersky one, is a Russian-owned company.
Right.
And that's why I always suggest the Checkpoint one, because when you do your research into it, you might think, well, Checkpoint is, I believe it's an American-owned company. Don't quote me on that, but and Kaspersky is a Russian-owned company, so you can only imagine the data might not be as transparent from the Kaspersky one as it is from the Checkpoint one.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's a hard to answer question, but it's like, and especially if you have kids going on social media, I think it's important to just like give it a quick Google and see like what country was WhatsApp made in, I would actually do like privacy review WhatsApp. Those are the two things I would Google. What country was the app made in, and privacy review app name.
Okay. So that saves you a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
So, because you are a researcher, so what you do all day, Hank, just to give us your daily, what do you do? How's a day look like?
Right now I'm working with a company in downtown Calgary as the senior security specialist. And I basically just, I work on incident response and stuff, but one of my favorite activities is just passive, vulnerability research. So things like, something as simple as using Google for looking up exposed services. So there's a thing called Google Dorks where you can actually access things that Google didn't mean to be accessed. So, and you can report those and have that mitigated. And then there's another service, and it's kind of like the threat maps and kind of similar to Google, but it's called 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃, SHODAN, and that's basically a search engine for the Internet of Things. Like there's smart toasters on there and smart fridges and thermostats and webcams and stuff. So you can research that as well, and looking at bug bounties. So trying to collect. There's companies that'll reward you if you can find a vulnerability in their services.
Okay. Yeah, it is quite a job for you, even though you're passive, but so much work.
It's never a dull moment.
No, not a dull moment. I can imagine that. Every time you're, searching and you're finding such, interesting things. Yeah.
So now. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting too, because I was trying to kind of bring to attention to people the importance not only in doing research when they're buying or signing up for social media, but when they're buying Internet of Things devices. So things like thermostats or webcams or security cameras, and we all know about, or maybe not, but I got on the Dr. Phil episode for the Nest vulnerability, and so it's like things like that. If you Googled Nest hack or something, or Nest vulnerabilities, chances are you'd figure out that might not be your best solution for a smart home device.
Right.
Yeah. So is it is it safe to have a smart home or smart all these gadgets?
Gadgets,
at home?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I look at Shane Homes, and they build very secure smart homes, and I don't have anything against them, but I think again it's important that if you're using these devices, because you're the end user, you need to make sure that you're using a strong password. That's and make sure that you're securing your Wi-Fi with a good password and changing defaults.
So important,
enable two-factor authentication.
Yeah, that's right.
Very well said. Well said.
Wow. It's every time we talk to you, we come to know so many interesting things, and we don't know where it is going to lead, but the bottom line is that the less you share, the less you open your links, the less you, do all these stuff, you don't expose yourself too much. I think that's the best way to keep you safe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, I had someone ask me once. They were like, you
Yeah.
know, like, it would be cool to have a calculator that told you the chances of you getting hacked, and it's pretty easy to come up with the chances of you getting hacked, and it depends on your level of interaction. Like,
That's
you
right.
do web banking. Do you like, how often do you use a smartphone, and how often do you use that? What do you do on it?
On it, yeah.
These are the questions that you can kind of start to ask yourself when you're thinking about your threat landscape.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the things that people would look at to make you into a target?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Really, you know, like
Absolutely.
it's so much fun talking to you. Actually, you come to know so much, and hopefully to have you next time in our studio and with something more to talk about. But meanwhile, have a very great day and enjoy your birthday, and we will hopefully get you some other time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the kind words, and I look forward to coming in.
Thank you so much.
Like, just to tell you something on your birthday, make sure do not click on something, the one you don't know.
Right? Yeah. Don't send me any links.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you so much, Hank. Take care.
Thank you so much, guys.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Till next time.
Great
Yeah.
night. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hank the hacker, guys.
Yeah, my God,
Hank
you
Fordham.
always, you feel a little scary after talking to him.
I know.
But you know what?
What do you click, what you don't click,
What do
you
you
don't
do?
know.
You have this smartphone with you and you're doing things on it and you don't know. But recently my Instagram got hacked. Somebody had sent a link,
And
a
you
friend
click
of
on it,
mine,
yeah.
and she said something very, very ordinary. You know,
Yeah.
like I would say, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I opened that link and
No,
my
yeah.
Instagram was
Yeah,
just
I think,
gone,
I think, जो आपने अच्छा ये mention किया, because I think जो है 2 days ago, I had किसी ने मुझे वीडियो अपना जो है लिंक भेजा था. Oh, you are in this video.
Yeah.
It was from the
No,
friend.
it wasn't.
So do
No,
not
do
click
not
on
open
it.
that.
इसका मतलब है कि
Especially this
उसका
one.
hack हो गया,
हाँ.
then it's now it's going around.
No,
now,
around.
right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
So,
right.
Shamikara, thank you so much for taking people. It's a really, really thank you. Big thank you to you. And of course, Joy, big thanks to everyone. Sonia, thank you so much for joining us as well. And taking people, thank you so, so much. Mabs Chaglani, Natasha, thank you so much. And Manoj Kumar Bhai, thank you so much. And then there was another name. There are a bunch of names here. Nurullah as well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Now we'll take a very